I don't want you to get turned around. I don't want you to get discouraged. I want you to continue on your journey because there is a blessing waiting for you, okay, along the way. And the moment that you get distracted, it's gone. I share with you guys, I felt called to ministry. I felt called to that. And I had got a prophetic word a few years ago. It was actually, you guys, read my book, Shaken to Speak, I'm Undershaken, because if y'all didn't know, I was in a psychiatric facility, and I was on a 24-hour hold. And that's a long story. Y'all read my book if y'all want to hear about it. Anywho, so when I was in that facility, it was a lady. She connected her eyes with me, and she said, she asked me. She said, "Did you grow up in the church? Are you connected to church?" And I was like, yeah, my parents are pastors. It was very strange that she just came out and said that. But she was like, okay, hold on, I'm coming back. And I was like, okay. So when she came back, she looked me in the eyes and she said, when I looked at you, she was like, I saw a God. And I was like, God. Because, I was going through it, y'all. I didn't think that, God was anywhere on me or around me. I was like, okay, girl. All right, girl. And she said to me, and I'll never forget it, she said, no matter where you go or what you do, you'll never be able to run from it. You will never be able to run from God. You'll never be able to run from the church. She was like, it's all over you. And she said, no matter where you go, if you go around the wrong people or in the wrong places, you're going to be a misfit. And I was just like, I remember I started to tear up and stuff because it wasn't just what she was saying, but it was what she was emitting towards me, her aura and the things that she was saying. It wasn't how she was saying it, but it was just the energy between us. It was just indescribable. I can't really describe it. But she spoke this over me. And at the time, I was 24 years old. I was like, I don't know. I'm 27. I'm about to be 28 right now. But she was, besides that, she was like, she began to tell me that, just all these things about my life. This isn't the ministry for me. This isn't the ministry for me. I am to walk with God and all this other stuff. And now this facility was by no means a Christian facility, a Bible-based facility, a faith-based facility, none of that. I don't even know if she was allowed to be talking about God with me. If she would get in trouble, because, some corporations are just like, leave God out of things. But as she spoke to me, I could do nothing but cry and just receive it, with an open heart. Even though I had a closed mind and all that stuff, my heart was so open and so raw in that moment. And given, it was a vulnerable situation for me to be in this facility in the first place. But at the time, I was a case manager for low-income families and children with disabilities. And she said to me, you're supposed to be here, but you're not supposed to be here. And she asked me, she said, do you know what that means? And I said, no. And she was like, I was watching you on the phone earlier. She was like, and it just looked like you did not belong in this place. I was like, okay. And she began to tell me about her own personal story. And she told me, how she was a psychologist, how she had her doctor's degree in it, and how she was, servicing all these people, in the facility, basically in the mental health field. And she said, there will be a time that will come where you will understand. And I was like, okay. And you guys, fast forward to 3 years later, almost 4, I'm working in the mental health field. I'm a counseling support to so many people and case manager. The company that I partnership with, because I have my own business, but I'm an independent contractor for this company, is faith-based. And so I'm able to minister to my clients. I'm able to openly talk about God to my clients. Like, as a case manager, I wasn't allowed to, talk about God. I had to keep the Bible out of, the work that I did in helping and servicing these families. But this company said, yes, we're faith-based. And I tell you, before my interview with this company, they prayed with me. They said, let's pray. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay. Now, mind you, by this time, I was already a children's ministry director at a church. So, y'all, I'm telling you right now, it was like 2 years after that experience at the psychiatric facility, 2 years after that, I had became a children's ministry director at a church. And I couldn't help but to laugh and think, God has a sense of humor. Because I was like, all these years later, a couple years later, and here I am in the ministry as a children's ministry director. Didn't see that happening 2 years ago, And then for God, for me, I don't know if you guys know my story, but when I was a case manager for low-income families and children with disabilities, I had got fired at my 2-year mark working for that company. And that was a long story. When I got hired as a children's ministry director, that same month, that company actually fired the person who fired me, because she had, fired so many people after she fired me. And, it was for harassment, and it's a long story, guys. Read my book, Shaken to Become Unshaken. You guys can get a copy on my website. All those details are in there. But I even have a few videos on here about it. But anywho, the events that happened on my life journey led me to where I am right now. And yes, my parents are pastors. Yes, I grew up in the ministry. But there was a point in time where, I was out of all that, and I, wanted to distance myself, and I wasn't as connected as I thought that, I thought I was, to be honest. So, now looking back at everything that's happened, and, me taking care of my own ministry, like, I never thought that would happen. But there had to be some shaking up and some removing of things and some plot twisting in my life for me to get to this moment. You guys, read my book. But anywho, as this stuff that's happening with my apartment is happening, and I wrote in my book before, I've had different instances with different apartment places, bad things happening. I went through almost eviction, and that was due to my ex, who was abusive. He actually broke down my door and broke my whole door frame. And the apartment tried to blame me, saying that it was a guest of mine. And I was like, I can assure you, I would, not be friends with any guest of mine who would, damage my property like that, because he was trying to get in and my door was locked. So I was like, that was not a guest. That was an unwelcome person. They tried to evict me basically because I refused to give them a name of who the person was trying to get into my door. And, I was scared at the time. And, that's actually a part of domestic violence, not telling all the police who is abusing you most of the time. Which, with my clients that are going through abuse and stuff, I take all of these things into consideration. So I'm not upset about anything that's happened to me in the past, because I use all of my knowledge and everything that's happened to me in the past to help me in my present day. And that's why, you know, I'm a counseling support to people and case manager to people who go through these different situations. And in my heart, you know, there is a connection to them. So I take pride in what I do, and I love what I do. And I thank God every day that He has connected me with the church that I'm a part of, and connected me with the the business that I'm a part of, because these jobs are like, you know, no other jobs that I've had before. You know, I create my own schedule with both jobs. I'm able to freely talk about God, which is what I prayed for when I was going through that whole my old boss with the case management job for disabilities and stuff. I was going through a lot of harassment and stuff, and I prayed to God. That's when I was getting into my Bible and praying and stuff, and really leaning on Him. You know, people always say when you go through trouble, you lean it on God, but that's, you know, not the case all the time, how it should be. You know, even when you're good, you should be leaning on God too. But yes, so I was leaning on God, and I was praying to God, and I said, God, please let me have a job where I can talk about you freely. Let me have a job where you are involved in it. I didn't know I was going to get a job in an actual church, but you know, that's what He led me to. So I'm happy about what I went through, and I'm so happy about, you know, where my mindset is today. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I would really suggest that you look at some of my old videos just to get to know me, and I'm really looking forward to getting to know you. So comment in the comments, invite me on your journey, because I am so excited to invite you on my journey.